Hi, I'm Rocket, and this is Whiteboarding with Rocket. And we're doing Whiteboarding Katas. And for kata number 5, we're going to do arrows and lines. This is a very interesting kata, and it can take on many variations, and you can have a lot of fun with it. We're going to do mostly straight lines this time. We're not going to do corners. Those are really covered in other katas. But the arrow is a very, very powerful thing when conveying the flow of things, and being able to do arrows quickly and effectively, as well as stylishly, will help your whiteboarding skills tremendously. So we're going to do a handful of things. We're going to talk about direction, so naturally left to right, right to left, up and down, and then angles. It's all very well and good. We're going to talk about styles. So there's a couple of different styles. The arrow last is you draw the line, then you draw the arrow. Arrow first is you draw the end of the arrow and then you draw the line. There's a two-line arrow, which is this nice style. And then there's the triangle arrow. However you want to use them. And in some cases, like multiple colors, or with your letters and numbers, you have two styles that convey different things as part of your whiteboard. You can use arrows to do the same thing. We're also I'm going to talk you through the methods. There's the single motion method, and then there's the 2 or 3 motion method. And then a little fun exercise at the end I call the double-ended zen. Sounds like a ice cream. Anyway, let's start. So we're going to start with arrow last. Okay, arrow last. And I'm going to show you these methods right away so you get an idea. So method with a single motion is you draw the line, you go up, you go back, you go down. Okay, so it's there, then you go up here, then you go back there, and then you go there. Okay, and this is good because it's fast. And, you know, frankly, you don't have to do a lot. It doesn't have to be a big thing like this. It's just small, right? And it conveys the arrow very nicely. So this is the single. Now let's talk through the 2 or 3. Okay, and if you want, this is more precision based. So you want to be a little bit more precise. Okay, you'll pick up the pin and then you do that. Okay, that's the 2. So in this case, it's here. You pick up the pin. You go here. You go there. Okay. Then there's the 3, which is like that. So just like the 2, except you pick up the pin between the tip and the back. Whatever feels good for you. I use them interchangeably. If I'm going really fast, that's single motion. If I'm going a little bit slower, I'll probably use the 2 motion more often than not. And you practice this all the directions, not just left and right, but up and down, all over. So that's single motion. Okay, then it's up, 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 down, down, and then angles. And what's nice about this is it's a fast thing, so you don't have to move your hand around a lot. And then you can go this way. And this is actually really interesting, because if you're standing like this is a little awkward because I'm trying to show you, but this is going to be the reality. You're going to be in these awkward positions, so try and practice them, right, when you can. Okay, so arrow last. You can do line first, but I like arrow last. It sounds better. Okay, so that's arrow last. Let's do arrow first. Okay, similar thing. Now, I tend to not do a single motion arrow first, right? And I don't know why. right? It's not something I've practiced, it's not something I've picked up. So I'll draw the arrow and then I'll draw the line. You could do that. It just doesn't feel as clean to me, nor does it look as good, right? And here, what you're doing the arrow first for is if you want to be precise about the position of the arrow. Okay? That's really what that's about. Because it's less, the precision about where you stop, you have to be really slow about. And then you can draw your arrow. See what I mean? And I'm a little off on that. So the idea here is precision is necessary. Now you can do precision quickly, and that's a key here with the arrows first. It allows you to do fast precision versus a slower precision. So, and I try and do this so that I am going up against something. Ooh, so here's something I need to practice. Oh, look at that. Why is that happening? Okay. Maybe I need to pick my direction. So you'll find something like that as you're going through your katas, and you'll pick up on something where it doesn't feel good. And just like anything where you do, practice is progress, and perfect practice is perfection. You want to make progress first, and make sure you feel it, and you're loose, and all things are happening. So for me, this up motion is a little shaky. Now the question is it shaky because I'm not locking my wrist? Or is it shaky because I'm not confident? Let's get a little bit better here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now I'm starting to get it. Okay. That's not a motion I make a lot. So, I can feel that. I tend to do, if I'm going to do a motion like that, I tend to go down like that. And that's more natural than going up. And it could be just the location of it on the whiteboard. Interesting. So, anyway, we'll move on. So, arrow first. I tend to do a 2 or 3 motion arrow first. I don't try and do a single motion arrow first, because when I do arrow first, it's about precision, and a single motion isn't really about precision. So let's move on to the 2-line arrow. Let's get this erased. Now you see I'm erasing things in between because this can get really crowded with arrows, because it tends to be you're going to do a lot of them. So anyway, however you want to do it on your whiteboard. So 2-line arrow. And so here we go. What you do a 2-line arrow for, like that. Okay? Now there's a couple of exercises here. And 2-line arrows are great for conveying large motion in a drawing. So if you want to, hey, we're all headed in this direction, right? Here you go. And yeah, there we go. So you'll find funkiness in here, and clean it up. Take a moment and clean up. If you want a big, this is the direction we're going kind of thing. But there's also uses for smaller versions of this. And I tend to do this little exercise like this. And it's just a repetitive motion thing. Okay, there's techniques that you're going to want to do this, and it's up to you. It's going to be what you feel good doing. I'm not going to be able to give you a good set. There's, like, for example, let's just talk through this. So I start with one, I go to the other one. So now I've got a nice alignment. Okay, you can do like this. This is good if you're See, and it's off, right? So this is good if you're wanting to be precise. You can do, all singular motion. Or I've done this before. Sorry, you probably didn't see that. No, let me do it over here. So there's times when you can do a single motion double line arrow. And yeah, that's good. You'll know when there's a time that you want to use this. Perspective, anything with the whiteboard that you add perspective to, this is a great version of that. You can get, and I'll do a whole kata on perspective, but you can have some fun with it. You've got that whole thing. Right, so you can get a little 3D-ish going. There's some cool shading you can do with this. Right, so if you want to have a little bit of a highlight on your whiteboards, that's another thing you get to do. So some cool stuff there. All right, so 2-line arrows. So this is downs and ups, and then you can do the other way. Actually, sorry. I'm not doing good here. So let's pause. Let's take a moment. And so we're going ups and downs to the right. Ups, downs to the right. Ups. Okay, pretty shaky. You see that? Part of it is I'm doing this to the side, like, Anyway, you got the idea. The 2-line arrow. Lefts to rights, that's just straightforward stuff here. Ooh, that's a bad one. Just take a moment here and there. So I have some techniques we can bring to the table. Vary the width. You can also practice where your arrows are a lot longer. These are pretty cool style. Things you can do. Shorter. I never really liked the real short arrows, so I've been a fan of the longer ends. Okay, so that's the 2-line arrows. Let's move to the triangle arrow. All right, triangle arrow. All right, same thing, all the directions. The end is a triangle. Okay, so you can start with the triangle, you can end with the triangle. And like I said earlier, this is a way to differentiate your arrow styles. So if you have certain things that are, you'll know, right? So if it's network traffic, or if it's whatever, or then it's user input, right? You could do triangle arrows for user input, and these kinds of arrows for programmatic input. You'll figure it out. But having multiple styles of arrows will help you think through that and have a way to differentiate those things. So again, it's triangle, line. It's a good little practice. Now this is one of the reasons you practice your triangles. In the other katas you've seen that. So okay, and then if you can do lots of different things if you feel like it. Like try and cross these perpendicular, to get precise. Ooh, that didn't feel very good. Okay. And then you could add arrows to lines, if you want, go back and do that. And that actually leads to the double-ended zen. So triangle arrows, got the idea. And then here's a fun okay, and the idea is arrow, so I should have started with an arrow, arrow, arrow. And so you're alternating how you oops, yeah. Okay, then you go down. And here, you're looking to start and end as close to the arrow before. And when you're doing motions like this, being able to go out and then find a spot to hit, that's actually pretty powerful, being able to do that. So you could do it sideways, you've got this. Right. I have to always teach myself, remind myself what I'm doing, because I'll end up just doing this, and this isn't very efficient, right? Anyway, but you see, you've got the up and the down, the left and the right, and all the different variations in between. Right, so we talked about the directions, okay, of your lines and your arrows, your styles, arrows first, arrows last, your two-lined arrow, and then your triangle arrow. Then we talked about the methods along with primarily the arrow first and the arrow last, being a single motion or having the 2 or 3 motion. And then finally, a little bit of fun with some double-ended zen. I'm Rocket. This is Whiteboarding with Rocket. Have a good one.